My name is James Cameron. No, not this James Cameron, this James Cameron. I grew up in Coney Island, Brooklyn, New York. Oh my goodness, what a time it was. I now live in Virginia, and over the last 15 years, I've been portraying an 18th century man of color by the name of John Rollison. I also worked in radio broadcasting for over 15 years. I also played briefly, very briefly, in the NBA. It all started when I was 13 years old. Yes, that's me at 13. I was a handsome individual, wasn't I? But before all of that, I had another passion. I loved Rolls-Royces. Well, a few years ago, I accomplished my dream. I purchased a 1985 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur. And that's where the nightmare began. But it was through trial and error that I discovered that there was a way to actually purchase these cars and maintain them that could save the buyer of future cars like this thousands of dollars. Now that is the sound of power. Let's take a trip. Come on, come along with me. I have now taken that knowledge and will now share it with you. My name is James Cameron, and I want to welcome you to the Rolls-Royce and Bentley University Buyer's Guide. Let's start class. Welcome again, class. This is James Cameron again, and I want to welcome you to Rolls-Royce and Bentley University Buyer's Guide. We are here again with Susan Price. You saw her in a previous episode where she worked on my wood panels for my doors. And now I can say, based on that last episode, we've known each other now going on almost a year. What a difference, right? So she had also mentioned, and we're going to show you a clip, where she talked about the front wood panel of the car and how it was okay, but eventually it was going to start cracking.
What I want you to do is take your fingernails and rub across the back end of it, and you'll feel those ridges. And right now, this one is still intact, but once they start getting really loose and they'll start popping, that's really when you're at the point you need to have it redone. Otherwise, you're going to start having damage to the wood.
And they would have to be done, and preferably sooner, better than later. So we decided to do it sooner. So Susan, take it away. Let them know what you're going to start off doing.
Okay, so as many of you all are aware, this is that front panel from the car, and it obviously has been removed and brought to us. So what we're going to do today is we're going to begin to sand this down, get the top coat off. We'll use an electric sander for that, and then we'll be coming back with hand sanding. But we'll use the electric sander to get off this hard gloss finish before we get down to the stain. I have one of my people here, Devin Phillips, and she's going to give us a hand here. We've already got one hooked up. So Devin is using, it's actually, can you flip that up? This is an older piece of 150. We don't want to start on this with 120 or even 220. We want something that's a little bit used, already has some of the grit taken off of here, because you never know how fast the grit is going to go through this finish. So we don't start off with a really good new piece of sandpaper on here. We start off with something that we've already felt and we know the grit that we're working with. So she's going to start with that and we'll get going. This is where it's just starting, and we will keep going on. This is not as far down as it needs to go, but a few minutes ago you saw I was showing you with my fingernail how it was going through the edge. It's starting to get smoother now. The finish is starting to break down, and that's what this white is. This is nothing but top coat breaking down. And it's still not there, but we also noticed here on the edges, this is where the depth, I don't know if y'all can see this, but there's some depth to the top coat. There's that much finish on there. So we want to be careful about not getting into the veneer on here because we don't want to mess that up. The veneer's so gorgeous. But we will be coming all the way down so that we'll have a clean coat. And here's another spot. You can see now where the sawdust is actually starting to hang up into the voids here. But also, you can start seeing where the top coat is coming off. It's starting to get lighter here. That means that we're actually getting through the top coats. And we're not too far from having this little portion sanded out. But we're going to keep on working this, and we're going to take it all the way down. And we'll also, these insides, we'll get this off because this is like really chippy. I can break that off with my nails. So you can see how chippy this is on this part. It's just really chippy, and that's what we're breaking off now. We're getting through that so that we can get back, so you can see the actual real luster that was on this for the original. Hi, so we're back here today. This is the finished panel that James had brought to us the other day. There were a number of layers of top coat on here, and it took a while. The original panel that came in was more yellowed, and that was because the lacquer was one of the old versions of lacquer, and it has an amber tint to it. So as it aged up, it kind of yellowed and orange. But this is the original color that this thing started off with. And you can see that from the back side too. I left the rim of it here, and this was the original stain. On this particular piece, we did not add any stain color to it whatsoever. This was clean it up, sand it. We used several different grits of sandpaper. Once we got it cleaned up, we came in and we used the sanding sealer, and that is a product that's typically used with lacquers. Once we put the sanding sealer on it, we noticed that there were some fine cracks where the glue joints were from where they put the veneer pieces together. So anyway, we got all that smoothed out. We used some powders, some varieties of that on there to clean it up, and it's just a beautiful piece.
Alright, I'm Josh Wicks here, getting ready to install this panel that Susan did. We're going to install it back in the car after she got it all finished up. Alright, so we're tightening up. We set the panel in. I started the upper flathead screws here. And then I started by tightening this side panel with the 2 Phillips head underneath here. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten this side up, and then I'll work my way over to here. And then the panel is fully installed.